in sales, we always say, consistency is really what drives results, right? Consistency when it comes to prospecting and reaching out to people and like all this stuff.
And people might tell you no a few times before they tell you yes. I mean, that's going to happen.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sell the Truth. I'm your host, Eli Storr, and I am glad you are here. I've got the one and only Paige Perkins from the Pavement group. What's happening, Paige?
Nothing much.
I was really excited to get you in here. It's been a minute since I think you were on one of the Sell the Truth episodes.
I was thinking,
like one of the first.
Was I on once or twice now?
I think you've been on once. You were like one of the first few episodes.
Okay.
But since then, you've had a crazy 2024. You had a wild 2024. This is really, it's your first full year in sales. Yes. Obviously, this is a podcast focused on, sales and leadership, and hence the name Sell the Truth, right? And I really want to just dive into the tactical things along with the fundamental things, but really the tactical things that you go through each and every day that has really made you successful. This whole year, you have been fighting for that first top sale, that first place, that top salesperson on our leaderboard. Yep. It's been between you and Chad Fay on our team, and yours not over yet, but I know you guys are like neck and neck, and one of you I feel like is going to be the top person for 2024.
One of us has to be the top.
That's it.
Right?
That's it. So I really just want to dive into, what are some things, and I have some ideas of some things that I've seen and I've observed. But I just want to dive into, what are some of the things that you have thought about, that you've implemented, that have really kind of made you successful. And the first thing that I really want to start with is, your dedication, your work ethic. Without a doubt, I would say Paige is probably the hardest working person on our team, or one of the hardest working people on our team. You are, in the office pretty much every day before probably 7:30.
Yeah, most days, unless I need a little sleep-in sesh every now and then, but most often mornings I'm here that early.
But then you're also you're always the last person to leave. Yeah. Right? I mean, you've put in 12-hour days, 14-hour days, whatever it takes, right? Have you always been that way? Is that something that you've...
Yes, I have. So I think, my parents always kind of instilled that in me growing up, just kind of like that do whatever it takes type of mindset. But even looking back to when I was like in PT school, I mean, I just think I have the ability, I don't think I realized it as much until I started working here, but I have the ability to just like focus on something and not break concentration for long periods of time, which I don't know if that's normal or not, but I've realized that like I can stay locked in for a full 10 hours and like not break concentration and focus on what I'm when I have it in front of me. But I was the same way in PT school. I mean, I would spend late nights at the library till 2, 3 in the morning and like not even think twice about it. So I think it's just something that's it's kind of just ingrained in me. So yeah. What about you?
Oh, yeah.
You're always here early and staying late as well.
Kind of the same thing.
Monkey see, monkey do is what you always say, right?
Pretty much. For me, it kind of goes back to the same thing. It's like my parents. My parents always had me in hockey, right? So like, I was with hockey. You're there. You're at the arena. You go to school. You're at the arena. In high school, we had morning practice, and then we had I think workouts after school, and then we had late night practice, and then we'd have games. And so it was like I always had a jam-packed schedule. So when I graduated high school and then I went on to college, it was very weird for me to have like open, white areas in my schedule essentially. I agree. And so, going through college, I had to kind of fill that as well. But then, starting here, it was the same thing. I just like focused, right? Yeah. So what motivates you? Like, obviously, there are some days where, I think everyone could admit to this. Some days you're like, oh man, I really don't want to do this. I don't want to stay. And, I want to just leave at 4:30. Like, I don't want to stay till 6:30 and finish this. But like in those moments, is there anything that motivates you to like, all right, I can do this. It's another hour.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that team aspect has always been really important to me. So, when like you give shout outs to people on our Monday morning calls and, us as a team, we're like hitting those goals, like that's exciting. Like I want to be a part of that. And I would never want someone to be like, oh, well, Paige isn't contributing like her part. So I think like in the back of my head, I always had that mindset. But I think also the part of it where like, yeah, you work really hard and sometimes results aren't seen right away with our clients. But when you help a client solve a difficult problem, maybe they're having an issue with something that no one else has been able to help them with. Maybe no one else has asked, but I think the fact that like I ask the questions, I'm able to solve their problems, and when like I end up getting that appreciation, like thank you so much for your help, or you know, I win a job over it, like that's what makes it feel so rewarding to me. And that high is like it's just like you feel like you're on top of the world. Great. Yeah. So I think I'm very much someone who wants to help other people, and when I'm able to accomplish that through my work, it just, there's no other feeling like it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, like in sales, we always say, you know, consistency is really what drives results, right? Consistency when it comes to prospecting and reaching out to people and like all this stuff. And so, you know, I always say like, you know, when you're a new person in a new sales role, or you're new to sales in general, you know, well, you just have to be consistent with it, because it's all about timing. And when you're prospecting, especially new business, when I say it's all about timing, you know, people often go, well, what is the right time? It's like, well, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so how do you make sure that you're hitting the person at the right time? You're reaching out to them or calling them or whatever. Well, that just comes through consistency. And that might be by you reaching out to them 18 times prior, and finally on the 19th time, you hit them at the right time and they have a need for you.
Yeah. I mean, it just happened this past week with one of my clients. I mean, they said, you know, you have followed up with me the most. It was something that I thought was already completed project-wise, a bunch of projects that were already completed. And I was like, you know what, give it one more go, you know, just because I hadn't heard back one way or the other. So I felt like I still needed to continue that follow-up. And, you know, it ended up that they hadn't awarded the projects at all. They had been busy, and, you know, like you said, it's just kind of being in the right place at the right time and following up at that perfect moment for them. And he was very grateful. He's like, I appreciate you being consistent, but I think that's kind of something that you've reminded us all season, all year really, to just like make sure that we're making those follow-ups, because you just never know when it's going to land at the perfect moment. So, yeah, I think you hit that spot on.
And that goes for new stuff. That goes for following up on proposals. It goes for any part of the sales process, right? It's like consistency, you know, plus you know, timing equals results. And you, again, I'm just going to say it again. You don't know what the right time is, but everything is about timing. Yeah. Well, you don't know what the right time is. So how do you make sure that you're hitting them at the right time? Well, it just comes through consistency. Consistency day in, day out. That's when I say, like, you know, for salespeople out there, like, block off time in your schedule to do 30 minutes of prospecting. That's all you need. Every single day, if you do that consistently, you're going to hit the people one day where it's the right time for them, and they're gonna have exactly what, or they're gonna need exactly what you have.
Right, and people might tell you no a few times before they tell you yes. I mean, it's gonna happen. Companies go through changes. You know, maybe they already have someone that they're dealing with locally or nationally that they seem to have a good fit with at that very moment. But like, things change. You know, projects go south, they need an extra bid, you know, so just making sure you're hitting those for when those opportunities present, I think is super important. So
yeah. So one of the things that I want to ask you about too is that I've seen you is the sheer number of proposals and quotes and opportunities that you've put out. We call it putting out paper on the street, right? The numbers say that when you put out X amount of proposals, you're going to get X amount back. Yeah. And that's one thing that I truly believe in. Now, there's a caveat to that. You need to make sure that you're not just, excuse my French, throwing shit at the wall, right? Yeah. As salespeople, if we're just throwing shit at the wall and we're hoping that it sticks, well, then the numbers aren't going to make sense. You might get some of that back. Right. But if you're truly going after the right opportunities and you're submitting bids and proposals on the right opportunities, you're going to get, you know, X amount of that back. Yep. And so one of the things that I've looked at for you, it's like, you've just put out an absolute crap load of proposals. Yeah. And so it's just been all about activity, right? And that ties into the first point that I made. It's like the number of hours that you've put in. Well, you can only do that by, you can only put that amount of bids out by, you know, putting in those amount of hours. Right. So I guess one of the things that I want to ask you is, how have you been able to put out those many bids, right? It's multiple for those watching, multiple 8 figures worth of work and opportunities. And how have you been so efficient in putting out all of those proposals?
I think it comes down to the team that I have. It takes a lot of hard work from all of us, not just myself. Yes, I'm putting in long hours, but I have Mark and Laura who help me out, and they are such a crucial part to my team. Being able to pour into them and not be afraid to tell them when maybe something needs done differently, or when I maybe need something back by a certain date and it's really important. Like, I need to hold them accountable and they're also holding me accountable. And I think that accountability all around is what helps my team do as well as it does. So I think that's number one. But I think the reason why I'm able to put out as many bids as I have this year is I think the opportunities have come. A lot of my accounts have grown within the accounts. It's not even grown as much. I mean, some I've grown outside of the accounts, just
New
like
logos.
new logos, but a lot of them have been within the accounts I already have. So I think building those relationships and having people trust me, with anyone on sales, I think you have to have that trust in your salesperson and almost have it be just like a normal relationship, a friendship, something where we can collaborate, not where they feel as though like I'm being pushy. And I feel that's like this, your stereotypical salesperson, but I don't think anyone on our team is like that pushy salesperson. We just genuinely want to help people. And I think when the people that we're working with see that we genuinely want to help and we can collaborate to come up with solutions to the problems that they're having. Once you have their trust, that's what it takes. And I think one person tells another person, and I'm able to grow within these accounts. And sometimes all it takes is just asking, like, hey, who else should I be connecting with on your team? So just happened this afternoon. I submitted proposals for a new logo a few weeks back. We submitted like 9 within 3 days with site visits for each one. It was, once again, couldn't do it without my team and our great network of subcontractors that we deal with. So we literally got eyes on every single site, and that was a couple weeks back. We got everything submitted. The guy was super grateful, and I asked him, I said, who else should I be following up with your company, if anyone? Are there any other opportunities, or could you recommend? And he literally just responded before we jumped on saying, here's all of the engineers at my company, and CC'd them all and said, Paige was able to do this within a matter of days. She's a great resource. Like, feel free to reach out. So I don't know if anything will come of it, but things like that have been why I've been able to turn so many proposals around.
So it's so if I'm getting this right, it's you just gotta ask.
You just gotta ask. Worst they can say is no, right?
You just gotta ask.
Worst they can say is no.
No, I always say that too. Like the easiest sale is the second sale, of course, but the one after that is like internally within that same organization. If you've done a really good job for somebody, if you've done a really good job for XYZ company, and there's other people within that organization that do what that person does, and they have got projects too. If you just ask them and say, hey, listen, I want I love working with you, love working with your organization. Is there anybody else that I should be working with?
Right.
That any of your peers, any of your coworkers who might have projects that I could help out with.
Right.
That's it. Just ask them.
Yeah.
The worst they can say is no, and maybe they'll say, well, hey, let's just get these projects done first, and then I'll introduce you.
That's also happened to me this year. One guy that I was working with said, are you working with anyone else on my team? And I said, no, should I be? And he goes, well, I will recommend you, but he goes, I probably didn't want to do that until after our first project. But he's like, but now that we've had that, time together and, we're completely, closed as far as that project goes, he's like, I'll introduce you to the rest of the people on my team. So, I think it's just huge to ask. Worst they can say is no.
So I want to keep diving into that, but before we dive into relationship building, because that's something you've been very, very, very good at, especially within the existing logos and whatnot. I want to continue just to talk about your day, right? So like to put out that many proposals, to put out I don't even know what you've put out this year, but it's been a lot. I have to look in our system. I think by far you've put out the most proposals out of anyone on the team, and you have to be organized, right, in your day? Is there anything that you do to set your day up for success? Is there any habits that you do that you, is there anything that you do to time block or anything like that
I think that the tasks, that's a big part of how I keep myself.
Our CRM?
Yeah. So we have the ability to set basically follow-up reminders within our system. So even when I was back as a project coordinator, I always really, utilize those to keep track of my days. And that's kind of how I ran my days. But I think, as far as organization goes, maybe not as much being organized, but I have no problem calling anyone at any time. Like, until I have the answers that I need, I'm just very persistent, and maybe people get annoyed with that. I don't know, but no one's told me otherwise yet. So I think while sometimes, we can send an email, and we can get an answer 5 days from now, or 7, or maybe never. I would rather just pick up the phone. Hey, can you give, what is the answer to X, Y, or Z? And, hey, can you follow up with a text just so we have this for my records, screenshot it, throw it in the folder? Or sometimes people say, hey, in a meeting, on a call, can I call you back? You know what? Just text it. I mean, people love to text. But I will say that if you give a call first, most oftentimes you're going to get the answer that you need right away. So I think that alone has set me up to speed through things way faster than.
So stop taking the easy button, right? The easy button's, hey, I'm just going to send this guy a quick email and pick up the phone and call him. It's actually not hard. No. I think, in my opinion, I think it's the easy button.
Right. Well, because then you figure you have to keep track of when you're going to follow back up on that email if they don't respond. So if I have 90% chance that they're going to respond back to me or answer my phone call, that eliminates the whole need for a task. I have enough tasks throughout the day. If I can just cross something off, it's the way to go,
I love it. Yeah. So phone calls, get answers right away.
Answers right away. Yes.
Yeah. Don't take the easy way out all the time, because the easy way out, honestly, is going to lead to more work in the future.
Right. And I would say another thing that I focus on is I can create my proposals after hours, but I need to get the information I need during hours. So, people are typically working after hours. I typically know the people that I work with that are also working. So there are times that I can get answers, after 5 o'clock. But I will say, for people maybe that I haven't worked with as often, or a client I need to ask a question to, I try to form all that stuff into a pile that I can accomplish during the day, and then I can do all that other stuff on the weekend or after hours, and I can just zone in and do my thing. But if you sit down after hours to do that type of stuff and you don't have the answers, you're wasting your time. So I think focus on the stuff that you need to between 8 and 5, and do the stuff that you don't need anyone else to assist with.
Do kind of the busy work after hours,
right?
Which kind of goes back to that first point of you're putting in 12 hours a day. That's how you do that. Yeah. Part of what the reason why you've been able to put out so many bids and put out so much paper on the street. Yeah, love it. Well, let's last thing I want to talk about here is your ability to really build deep relationships with people. I've gotten messages from some of your customers that I've been blown away by, because they're so positive and just all the praise. People are like, "Oh my goodness, Paige is incredible." I have zero issues on any of my product. Seriously, I mean, there's been multiple messages that have come to me that have said that. And so your customers, they have the ability to rely on you for anything. I mean, there's been jobs that I know that you have gotten. Somebody's come to you on a Friday afternoon and they've said, "Hey, I need these done by Tuesday of next week. Can you get them done?" And you've literally delivered the next day. On a Saturday, you've been able to deliver, get the job done, and get it done before they needed it done because there was a corporate walkthrough, whatever the reason might be. And you've been able to do that. And that's built so much trust in your customers with you. And it's been really impressive to watch, because that's really how you build trust. So I just want to understand a little bit how you approach building relationships with people, and this has led to your growth. It's led to your growth here, your results, right? The amount of bids you've been able to put out, because now you've been able to create all the opportunities internally with
Right.
these new logos, with existing logos. So I just want to understand a little bit about what goes on in your brain when you're building relationships and
Yeah.
kind of how you approach that.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously being pleasant and happy with people is like step number one. I mean, no one wants to deal with someone who is miserable or, you know, isn't kind. So I try my best to be kind. I want I want to treat others the way that I want to be treated. I would hate to call someone and have someone be unkind to me. So step number one.
But
But
it's not fake, right? It's like real.
no,
It's like,
no. Like
yeah,
I
that's
love talking with people and I love building those relationships. But I think like life's I don't know. Like there's so many things that are so bad in our world that like what we're dealing with here is not anything compared to what other people are going through. So I just think like there's no reason to be unhappy. I think the interactions that we have, like our contractors are getting work from us, our clients are getting, you know, a new parking lot. So all around, like everyone's generally pretty happy, which I love. So creates a good environment for me to interact with people positively. But I think being honest, you know, in the situation where I needed to do those parking lots within a matter of days, I didn't say, oh yeah, we can get it done. I mean, yes, I told them like, we can probably get this done, but like it's gonna take some coordinating and you know work from us on a weekend to get it done. There's a good chance that we will, but like I'm honest from the jump that like it's possible that we aren't going to be able to do this. So at least like there's not false hope. I think if you know you tell someone something and they think they have it handled, or you know say you tell them that it's going to be a certain price for a project and then it's double. Like people don't want to have those types of interactions. They just want someone who's going to be honest, work with them to come up with a solution, just be a good part, like an extension of their team. You know what I mean? Like our clients need more hands to accomplish what they need to do. So like at the end of the day, like they just want to know that they can rely on us. And I think the fact that we answer the phone after hours and we're doing work, you know, on the weekends when we need to, and you know, we're available. Like if someone calls me or anyone on our team, I mean, Laura, Mark, any of this, I mean, we call back.
Anyone.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's not like, oh, I'm not saying that we've never missed a call, but you know,
if you miss it, you're gonna call back.
If I miss it, I'm gonna call back. Yeah, and I think people know that they're going to get answers, and people want to feel like they matter and that, you know, their job is important and that we're prioritizing that. And I think if you make someone feel that way, that alone is going to, you know, make them want to work with you. So I think just being kind and honest.
Yeah, and I would say too, to you know, to your point earlier, it's like if you do that and you do it well, and you're a genuine person, you know, you're going to be working with XYZ company, and then you can say, hey, is there anyone else I should be talking to? And they're going to say, absolutely, I want to introduce you to the entire team, right? Like it happens.
Right. And I think also not being afraid to tell someone when you don't know the answer, because I mean, there's a lot of times I don't know the answers to stuff. I mean, I've learned a lot over the last couple years, but I mean, there's still things that I say, hey, I got to make a phone call and find this out. And I think that people respect that so much more rather than me just guessing. They want to know that we have the team behind us that is, they're there to help us solve those difficult, you know, problems or answer those difficult questions. And we have that team. And you know, Tony is available at any time of day to help me answer those questions. You're always available. So I have the resources, but just making it clear that, you know, if I don't know something on a call, like I never act like I know it. I just say, hey, you know, let me double check on that and I'll circle back with you. And I think that alone will, you know, give people way more faith. And
I got into this industry when I was 17 or 18 years old, when I was working for Brian and Mike out in Wisconsin. And I mean, to this day, there's still things that I don't know, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot more, like way more than I ever thought I would know about asphalt and concrete. But back then, it was like, if I got asked a question, I was like, let me pull in the expert. And I would pull in one of our, you know, foremen or Mike or Brian or whoever else I was working with who could help answer that. And with clients and with anyone that I worked with, that went so far. and I would highly recommend anyone. Like, you don't need to fake if you don't know something.
Right. And it's a good
Right?
opportunity for us to learn. I mean,
Mhm.
who knows everything about everything? No one. Like, you have to ask those questions so that you are giving yourself the opportunity to learn. If you just kind of brush it under the rug and don't look into it, like, that's not good. We want to work with people who are looking to continue to learn things that they don't, as the industry's evolving and, new things are, happening on parking lots every day. Like, are we up to date with the current, things that are going on these parking lots? So, there's times that, as new things are evolving, maybe we don't know all the ins and outs, but we have the people on our team that do. So that's always great to have those resources and be able to, at the end of the day, help our client.
Absolutely.
Maybe not right this moment, but within a 12-hour span, I can get them an answer. So
yeah,
yeah,
100%. So, you've had a great year up to this point, and I have no doubt that you're going to finish strong, right? You've got a lot. You're always working to make sure that you finish it out. Is there anything else that that's really made you successful this year? That's really driven to your success. Is there anything else that you can think of that would help anyone that's listening?
Something I learned from you, honestly, is sometimes it's better not to speak as much, but to listen more. And sometimes you jump into these calls with new people and you're looking to like tell them all the great things. Because I mean, we're so proud of our company and I want to help people so bad that I think earlier on it's just like you give them everything. And a lot of the times just you sit back and let them tell you what their problems are, because at the end of the day, that makes our job so easy, because I think we are really great at solving problems. We have all the tools to do it. It's just if we don't know what the problems are, so sometimes just
usually there's 1, 2, maybe 3 specific problems that they have. And while, yes, what we do solves a lot of different problems, right? But it might just be those 1 or 2 things that they really like, hey, I just really need communication on my capital projects.
Yeah.
I need to know when you're going to be there. Well, great. We have a tool for that.
Right.
We built a program that's going to allow you to have real-time updates on these capital projects. Right. And so it's like when you sit back and you listen, you say, hey, like, what went wrong last time?
Yeah.
Like, what do the contractors that you work with, like, what do they do right now? What do you enjoy about them?
Yeah.
And you try to, and you start to understand that. Well, then now we can actually tailor what we do towards what you need. Right. It's not just a cookie cutter, hey, we're going to be a contractor for you. No. We have all the tools. Like, we have everything that built out to like solve your specific problems.
Right. And truly, I feel like each of my clients in particular are very different from each other. I mean, each requires, some want me to collect all 3 proposals and submit them all together. Some just want me to do it on the back end, which we're doing, always anyways, but like collect the proposals and submit one. Some people want 5-year plans. If it's a budgeting issue, a lot of the times our clients, they have a really crappy parking lot, but they only have $50,000 to spend this year. So like, what are we going to do? So listening and being able to think through things too. I mean, they have $50,000. I could just say, well, sorry, we can't do your parking lot this year. But that's not the right answer. I mean, what can we do? Like, maybe we focus on the area that's the worst, do half the parking lot this year, and then we phase it over the next 4 years when you're going to have more
now
funds.
it's a solution that
so now it's a
makes
solution.
sense,
Yeah, it's a solution that makes sense. And now that they know that we're looking to work with them, now we have work lined up for the next 4 years that they already have, a proposal for and have it all outlined for them. So I think making sure you're not talking too much and just listening more is going to solve a lot of people's issues, which I think, like I said, I learned from you. So thank you.
Of course. Yeah. Well, listen, I had to learn it the hard way.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. It's the truth. Yeah. It's the truth. Well, Paige, I don't know. It's been a wild year. That's for sure. Yeah. And you've absolutely crushed it in every aspect that I could even think about. So you've been here, early mornings, late nights. You've put out the proposals that you need to put out, and at the end of the day, results come from actions, and those actions come from consistency, right? And it's just activity. And if you do that, if you follow that process, which you followed to a T, like, there's no way that you're gonna get the wrong result.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
So I applaud you for that. I appreciate you jumping on here.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I hope that this was valuable. I mean, I think this is probably one of the most valuable episodes we've done, just because of the you know, the results you've been able to produce, but then also the step-by-step actions that you've been able to take. And you know, within this episode, I think there's tons of actionable items that people can take away, and I hope you guys do. Any final thoughts, Paige?
No, just thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's always nice to jump on a pod, and yeah, appreciate it.
That's right. Oh, and tune in to Paige's pod.
Come watch the Perks and Paving. It's we've been focusing on our core values and then just kind of life in the Perks. So little bit of everything sprinkled in, but yeah, so.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you, Paige. Appreciate you jumping on, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If there's anything that you would like me to talk about or interview other people on, let me know. I mean, there's a vast sea of things that we can talk about on the show that have to do with sales and leadership and selling the truth. So with that, appreciate you. Reach out if you have any ideas, if you want me to talk about anything, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.